Hey, so what's going on, everybody? This is Zach. Today, I want to try something, right? So it is now 2020. It's like we're halfway through January already, 2025, right? And I know that I have a part of me that it really wants to make videos for you guys and for people just to like listen in, just kind of get the word out about who I am as well and stuff like that. But I want it to be really valuable for people. And so I figured, like, how do I do that in a way where I've like lowered the bar, so to speak, so that it's actually like a sustainable thing. I've tried the podcasting, I've tried making more like official looking videos, but the issue with those things is that I am a busy person, like everybody is. And frankly, I just hate sitting down and doing a bunch of editing and stuff like that. And so I want to try something a little bit different today. And if this is something that's useful, then I'll like keep doing it. But I want to just kind of sit and chat and sort of like stream of consciousness, sort of like to you guys, sort of talk to you about where my head's at. So one of the things that I've been noticing recently with myself is there are several projects that I really want to get going in 2025, right? I want to get into like, because a lot of my current practice and my current like business basically is all in individual therapy. But the issue with that is that number one, there are a lot of people who can't afford individual therapy through private practice. And number two, so like, in other words, like I'm not helping some people that could be helped. Number two, one-on-one, like a one-on-one coaching or therapy model doesn't scale very well. That you sort of like very quickly hit a ceiling, like once you're busy, that you're like, I'm not, between all of the different things, trying to raise a family with like 4 kids at home. At some point, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, we're surviving, we're getting by, but we're not thriving, if that makes sense. Like, we're doing pretty good. Like, I know there are a ton of people who are not doing well, but I could be doing a lot better. And I know that. And so there's projects that I want to get done. And what's interesting is I've been thinking a lot recently about this idea that like, about the fact that there's so much consuming that I think in general a lot of people do, right? In terms of like social media, whether it's, just like watching videos. I watch, or more accurately, I like listen to a lot of videos about self-improvement and how to be effective, and like I talk to clients about this kind of stuff all the time. But the reality is that when it actually comes down to action, that is something that I feel like repeatedly I just hit this wall, right? And I think that so often that is something that you can't do that, right? Like you can watch all the videos you want, but it's not going to make a difference. And that's something I'm really trying to take seriously in 2025 is, my sister every year, at least she used to do this. I don't know if she still does, but every year is like, she'd be like, the word for this year is, like gratitude or whatever, right? But I feel like for me, the word has to be action, right? Like it actually has to be do something. Go put it on the line, put yourself out there. And I did this a little bit last year. I've put on a couple workshops for like professionals who want to know about ADHD, for example. And I definitely think I need to keep doing that. I feel like that's something that at this point, I could basically refine the same presentation that I have repeatedly. And I think that it could be pretty awesome, actually. But it's funny because there's this feeling that as soon as I approach something, and I don't know if you guys are like this too, right? Where as soon as it comes time to actually do something, it's like this wall goes up or this dread or something like that. And I think that for me, and I think for all of us out there, if you see this video, feel free to like leave a comment down below, get a conversation going. But like, I think it's important to be mindful of that. In other words, to like almost like be on the lookout for it and catch it when it comes up, and decide that I am not actually going to let that feeling be in control, right? Like it doesn't get to make my decisions for me. That doesn't make sense. And logically, of course, that makes sense already, right? Like, yeah, you should do stuff, right? But like, why don't we do that? It's whether it's this like fear of failure or this like insecurity or Honestly, and like reflecting for myself, like it's weird to think like I've been a therapist for like coming up on 8 years at this point. You'd think the imposter syndrome would have gone away, but and it's like logically, like I know that I know what I'm doing in some situations, but I also very much know when I'm doing things I know that there are things that I haven't done before that I could do because they're similar enough to other things that I've done, but I just haven't done it yet, right? And I'm trying to sort of internalize this idea that, man, I could figure shit out. Are you kidding me? Like, how hard can it be, right? Like, how hard can it be to, to like advertise a, like a meditation class, or to advertise like a group, or a workshop, or whatever, right? And to sort of decide, this is what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to reverse engineer so I can figure out what I need to do to make that happen. It's something that you just kind of, it's surprising that the more that you can develop that trust in yourself to sort of know, like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but other people have done it. Surely there's a way. Like, it can't be that hard. And if that's a mindset shift that I find in the past when I've adopted it, it's surprising actually how often that is actually the case. Now, there are some things, of course, that are difficult, and you want to know your limits, but or maybe a better way to say that is you want to know enough about what you're doing that you're not doing it irresponsibly. And that's very important, right? Like, that's just part of being an ethical, good person, is that you're not like just willy-nilly throwing stuff, like, like putting other people's money or time or well-being at risk. But that doesn't mean that you can't do stuff, right? Like, so often we just like play it safe. And I will say that, like, in developing these workshops that I've done, I have really noticed that, like, wow, you know what? Like, that actually worked out pretty good. And yeah, there was some like moments of stress trying to get it all lined up, but interesting. And then it's like I settle back into that like comfort zone, and it's not, I'm putting this out there to sort of say, like, if you find yourself in that situation, you're not alone. And also, like, let's not do that this year. Let's try and, like, that thing that you've been wanting to do, or that person you've been wanting to reach out to and talk to, if they're, if it's like a person, like, you're like, that person's like, I'd love to ask that person out on a date or get to know them better or whatever it is, right? Like, I'll tell this story, and it's a very stupid story. And I don't skateboard anymore. I skateboarded for about a week, and I didn't even really skateboard. This was a couple of years ago. And just for context, I am, at the time I would have been in my like mid 30s, 6 feet tall, like 240 pounds, like big dude. And I had this moment where I was like, man, I've always wanted a skateboard, and it always kind of bugged me that I never learned how to skateboard. And so at like 37 years old, I bought a skateboard, and I bought a helmet and pads and whatever, and I went out on the road, and dude, I crashed out so hard and it sucked. But you know what I told myself right away was, like, you know what, any of the pain that I had from like crashing, I had like a big old bruise on my hip from like just falling repeatedly. By the way, since then I bought like a big old like adult Razor scooter that like gives me enough of the feel of that I'm like, yeah, you know what, like, this is good enough. But I tried the skateboarding, and I was just decided I didn't want to injure myself forever. But the point is, the pain of that hurt less than I knew that the pain of regret would feel like later. And that's the thing that I think is really, really important to know, is that like so often people at the end of their life, the things that they say they regret is that they didn't take the chance. They didn't take the chance. They didn't believe in themselves. They didn't spend enough time with family, is obviously a huge one, but they didn't listen to themselves enough, right? And take a risk on yourself this year, right? Action. That's the thing that you want to do this year, is get out of your comfort zone. For me, it's do not just consume content, create content. Do not just sit and think about being more productive or being more, authentic, or like living life more. It's actually doing it. And that's something that you have to get really practical and very concrete, be like, this is what I'm doing. So if you find this video valuable, hey, hit subscribe. wherever, hit the bell, all that stuff. I'm hoping to do more videos like this just because I find they're, hopefully they're valuable for you guys. And if you have any questions or like discussion topics, put them in the thing downstairs. And I will talk to you later. See you later. Bye.